One of the most frequently asked questions is on feeding and what to feed your dairy cows. But before understanding what to feed, you first have to understand how dairy cows utilize their nutrients. And so today, we'll be discussing a vital concept, which is dry matter and dry matter intake. Hello, and how are you? Welcome to today's episode. We appreciate that you have liked, subscribed, and shared our content this far. If you haven't, please do so. What's dry matter? Dry matter has the English definition and the scientific definition. The English definition, definitely it's something that is dry. But the scientific definition, it's totally different. And where most farmers get it wrong, it's following the English definition. So in science, we say dry matter is basically the moisture content in that feed. For instance, if you are to dry whatever you feed your cows, we evaporate all the water. Whatever remains is the dry matter. But most of you get it wrong when they define dry matter as anything that is totally dry and it's supposed to be fed to cows. If you get it wrong in terms of dry matter, you subject your cows to so many problems because you will never observe things like stage of harvest. Because every time you'll be targeting something dry. Different feeds in your farm have different dry matter content. For example, that freshly cut Napier, it has almost 80% moisture, meaning it has only 20% dry matter. If I was to take 100 kgs of fresh Napier, I evaporate all water, whatever will remain is 20 kgs, and that's now the dry matter. Let's compare that with hay, maybe the Bomarode hay. Bomarode hay is 85% dry matter and 15% moisture. Meaning, if I was to take 100 kgs of Bomarode hay, I evaporate all water, what will remain is 85 kgs of dry matter. Another example is the dairy meal. If I take dairy meal, I evaporate all water. Sometimes hay is almost 90% dry matter. For dairy meal is about 90% dry matter, meaning whatever I'm feeding this cow, that dairy meal I'm feeding this cow, if I evaporate all water, whatever remains is 90%, meaning from 100 kgs of dairy meal, the dry matter content is 90%. It's one thing to understand the concept of dry matter and understanding the dry matter intake. This is why even the rule of common sense applies. For example, can a cow consume 25 kgs of Bomarodes? Definitely not. But can the same cow consume 25 kgs of freshly cut Napier? Yes. Now you see, that difference in dry matter content affects the amount this animal can consume in a day. Now, when we look at the dry matter intake, we focus first, we start with appreciating that a cow will consume between 3 to 4% of the body weight, the dry matter. Meaning, if I have a 500 kgs cow, a freshly calved cow that is, consuming 4% dry matter, it will require 20 kgs of dry matter in a day. What does that one mean? It means if my 1 kg, if I'm feeding exclusively on fresh Napier, my 1 kg of Napier has 0.8 kg, has 0.2 kgs of dry matter. And my target is 20. So I'll take my 20, I divide by 0.2. That one gives me approximately 100 kgs of fresh Napier. If I'm feeding my cow on Bomarode hay, which has 90% dry matter, means if 1 kg of Boma rods gives me 0.9 kgs of dry matter, what about my target of 20? So it will be 20 divided by 0.9. So you have seen the comparison. If I'm feeding exclusively on Boma rods hay, I'll require 22 kgs of Boma rods in a day. But if I'm feeding fresh Napier, I'll require 100 kgs. This is why I say the rule of common sense applies. Do you strongly believe that your cow can consume 22 kgs of hay in a day? Definitely not. Do you strongly believe that your cow can consume 100 kgs of Napier in a day? Definitely yes. So you see, that moisture content or that dry matter concept, if you get it wrong from the definition, you'll get it wrong in the dry matter intake. What happens if your cow doesn't consume enough dry matter in a day? Your cow will get emaciated, you will never achieve growth, you will struggle in terms of fertility, you will struggle in terms of milk production. But now let's also look at another concept. What is contained in that dry matter? This dry matter, it's where the nutrients are contained. That's why you'll get protein. That's why you'll get carbohydrates or the energy. That's why you'll get the fiber. And that's why you'll get minerals and vitamins. What you won't get there is water. But the question again is whatever in that content sufficient for that cow? Definitely not. That's why now we come to the supplementation. You supplement what is not sufficient. So dry matter is one concept to know the quantity that you need to feed that cow. The number of the kilograms of dry matter you need in a day. But the second now is where you consider the nutrients that are available in that dry matter and whether they are sufficient. For example, if I feed Boma rods, it won't be sufficient to give me milk. But if I feed a Napier, maybe that Boma rod hay will give me about 3 liters of milk or 4 liters of milk. But if I feed my fresh Napier, I might achieve about 6 kgs. But you see, it's the same kgs of dry matter, but the composition is totally different. If I feed my maize silage, which is 30% dry matter, it means I need about 30 kgs of silage in a day. But I'll tend to have more milk from that maize silage. So it's one thing to understand the dry matter, then you understand the dry matter intake, and you appreciate that inside that dry matter, it's where the nutrients are contained. In our next video, we shall highlight on the factors that affect the dry matter intake. Until next time, remember to like this video, subscribe, and share.